A bill to reopen the government has passed the Senate, and we are now waiting on a House vote tomorrow, November 12th, 2025. It might not be for tomorrow for you if you're watching tomorrow or 3 months from now, but many are calling out Senate Democrats for caving after only securing a Senate vote on health care. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, has not committed to any such vote in the House. Dad, it's the question everyone is wondering. Did the Democrats cave?
God, usually I give a very straightforward, clear answer. I don't have a clear answer this time. I see pros and cons to what the Democrats did. The obvious con is that they did not get Republican commitments to maintaining the essential Obamacare subsidies that tens of millions of Americans, tens of millions, depend upon for their life-saving health insurance. And Trump, as he always does, has thrown out, an absolute absurd alternative. After 10 years, Sam, when he's promised a better alternative to Obamacare, what does he come up with?
What we had before Obamacare.
Right. We're going to have individuals buy their health insurance. When he said, we don't have to go through the insurance companies. Well, who are they going to buy their health insurance from, Sam?
I have no idea.
The insurance companies.
Right, that's my point. If it's not the insurance companies, I don't know who the hell you buy insurance from. It's going to be the
insurance companies. And guess what?
What?
If you get rid of Obamacare, you're not going to be protected against discrimination if you have a pre-existing condition. And something along the lines of 40 plus million Americans have pre-existing conditions. One of the great benefits for our family, Sam, was having you on our insurance until age 26. That saved you the anxiety of going through the insurance markets and probably saved you many tens of thousands of dollars. Guess what? Get rid of Obamacare. That is no longer going to be available. Plus, there's going to be no controls whatsoever on the prices that the insurance companies are going to charge. It's back to the old system where so many tens of millions of Americans simply could not get health insurance because of pre-existing conditions or because they were young and couldn't afford it on their own, or simply because they were priced out of the market. That's what, absurdly, Trump is offering us after 10 years of promising, we're going to have a big, beautiful health care bill, so much better than the Affordable Care Act.
Right, but you haven't answered the key question.
I'm getting to it, but this is really important.
Okay, it is. You're right.
The Democrats were never going to get the Republicans agreeing to a extension of the Obamacare subsidies. Even if the senators had agreed, you never would have gotten agreement in the House. But, with Donald Trump leading the Republican orchestra, there was no chance he was going to give in. Trump loved the shutdown, right, Sam?
I don't know. I don't quite buy that. That's your thing. I'm not
That's
sure
my thing.
Fully on
this enabled him to fire people.
Yeah, but he agreed to bring them all back as part of the deal for the shutdown.
But my point is, he loved the shutdown while it lasted. He could fire people. He could deny people their food aid and other aid. And by the way, to make my point, not only was he cutting off federal food aid to 42 million people who depended upon it, but he was using all the power of the presidency to try to stop the states from stepping in and filling the gap and providing vital food aid to the people of their states. Ultimate cruelty. And that was part of it. Trump looked at the shutdown as a chance to be as cruel as possible, just as he's being as cruel as possible with his use of ICE and his deportation policies. And I can certainly understand why the Democrats, even though it was Trump-inflicted cruelty, wanted to stop the cruelty being inflicted upon the American people, even if it didn't mean getting everything they wanted. I understand that. But I understand the critics who think, this was a capitulation, this was a cave-in. They at least got, and hopefully Thune is honest enough to follow through on this, the Senate Majority Leader, Senator Thune, that they are going to hold a vote in December. That's why I think in some ways, yes, the Democrats lost this battle, but they may ultimately win the war. The Republicans are going to be faced with a very difficult choice. If there actually is a vote on these subsidies upon which tens of millions of Americans depend, which are overwhelmingly supported by the American people. If they block it, they are going to have that albatross flying over their heads when you come to the 2026 midterm elections.
I totally disagree with you. I think this vote is a total nothing burger. I don't think the Democrats or the Republicans will even blink an eye at voting down all this healthcare stuff. They did it in Trump's first term. They're going to do it again, and they're not going to even.
And he lost after Trump's first term.
Yeah, now
they had
Trump's
huge
back.
Losses in the midterm.
Right, but now Trump's back.
Elections. I understand that, but that was long after people forgot that. But if you have a December vote, that's going to become a huge issue in the 2026 midterm elections. And remember, Trump isn't going to be on the ballot. And he himself admitted, oh my God, can Republicans win? I don't think they can when I'm not on the ballot. Add to that a no vote on critical healthcare policy, overwhelmingly supported by the American people. I understand it's not ideal, and I understand why, you believe the Democrats caved and shouldn't, but they were never going to get anything better, and Trump was going to continue to inflict unimaginable cruelty upon the American people. So I think there are pros and con arguments. But what really bothers me, it's the same thing that bothered me when the Democrats went after their sitting president and elected nominee, Joe Biden. Democrats savaging one another.
No, I couldn't disagree more. There has to be some fight here. You can't just throw up your hands and say, okay, we can't talk bad about each other because we're in the same party. I'm sorry, but there's a big chunk of the party that I believe, and a lot of people believe, just totally caved. And I don't think it's fair to say everybody just needs to zip their lips and move forward. I don't agree with you at all.
I think they do, because whatever these Democrats did, it is a tiny fraction of what the real enemy has done, Donald Trump and the Republicans. Rather than savaging one another, they should be going after the Republicans. They should be saying the kinds of things I have been saying.
They do. People have been going after Trump for 10 years now. Come on.
But they're not specifically going after him.
You're saying the solution is to go after Trump? Come on.
Absolutely.
That's what everybody's been doing for 10 years.
And it's worked in the 2025 midterms. Going after one another was a disaster in 2024. And certainly, I can't say it was the cause, but it certainly contributed to counterfeiting at least one of the keys and contributing to the Democrats' defeat. There was nothing to be gained by savaging one another, instead of going after Trump and the Republicans, who are the real villains. The real villains are not Dick Durbin and Gene Shaheen and the other Tim Kaine. It is Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Mike Johnson, and the Senate Republicans.
Come on, everybody knows that. I don't think you're saying anything.
Everybody doesn't know anything. You got to bring it home. You can't, in politics, make assumptions that people don't even know who the senator is, right, much less follow all the ins and outs of the news. You got to bring it home to them. Thanks for watching our video. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and become a member today.